Brief introduction of YC6L series engine. Designed jointly by Yuchai and Germany FEV Engine Technology Company Limited, a world-renowned research and development company for internal combustion engine. The YC6L series engine is a high-power commercial engine created by dozens of top experts, incorporating current international advanced design concepts and developed design methods. It is characterized by high reliability, lightweight, low fuel consumption, slight vibration, and low noise, and is the benchmark power for high-weight passenger vehicles and lightweight heavy trucks. It adopts integral cylinder cover, high-strength open body, middle support cylinder liner, and body reinforcing plate. Uses 42 CRMO forged steel crankshaft, special mechanical design, such as comprehensive simulating calculation, CAE analysis, and new materials, and is carried out reliability test and evaluation strictly in accordance with FEV's mechanical development program, with a life of the whole machine greater than or equal to 800,000 kilometers under normal operating conditions. The engine is an upright, 4-valve, supercharged and intercooled structure. The use of electronic control technology of German Bosch high-pressure common rail, the installation of exhaust gas recirculator and after-treatment devices of exhaust can meet the European VEI emission requirements. Part 1. Disassembly of Yuchai 6L engine. 1. Intake surface. Remove the vent hose. Remove the engine harness and remove the bracket to fix the harness. Note: when pulling and inserting the sensor connector, be careful to open the latch, otherwise the latch will be damaged. Remove crankshaft sensor. Remove the boost pressure and temperature sensor. Remove the water temperature sensor. Remove oil pressure sensor. Remove ECU and bracket. Note: ECU should be handled with care to prevent collision. Please protect the ECU socket. Remove the diesel filter. Remove the fill pipe, pipe clamp, and bracket. Note: take measures to prevent all oil pipe joints from dust. Remove common rail pipe. Note: take measures to prevent joint of common rail pipe from dust. Remove the air inlet pipe. Note: take protective measures at the inlet pipe mouth to prevent foreign matters from entering the pipe. 2. Front gear train. Remove the tension pulley and take off the belt. Note: lock the tension pulley with a pin. Remove the generator. Note: the generator should be placed separately and the terminal should be placed upward. Remove thermostat, seat, and water pump. Remove the pulley shock absorber. Note: when removing the pulley shock absorber, loosen the bolts crosswise. Three. Exhaust surface. Remove the supercharger. Note: do not hold the push rod of the supercharger bypass valve by hand. Block the inlet and outlet of the supercharger and the oil inlet and outlet hole with a plug to prevent foreign matters from entering it. Remove steering pump. Note: take protective measures for all interfaces of steering pump. Remove the air compressor. Note: take protective measures for all interfaces of air compressor. Remove the stutter. Remove the exhaust pipe heat shield and exhaust pipe. Remove the oil filter. Remove the oil cooler. 4. Gear housing surface. Remove the oil dipstick and oil pan. Remove the oil filter. Remove the oil pump. Remove the body reinforcement plate. Remove the timing gear housing. Remove the front crankshaft oil seal. Remove the gear. Remove the high-pressure oil pump. Note: take protective measures for all interfaces of oil pump. Remove the idler gear. Remove the camshaft gear. Remove the baffle plate. Five, cylinder head components. Remove cylinder head cover. Remove the fuel injector harness and bracket. Remove the oil injector pressure plate. Remove the high pressure pipe. And remove the fuel injector. Note: mark cylinder of the fuel injector and take protective measures. Remove the rocker arm. Note: mark each cylinder before removing the rocker arm. Take out the push rod. Remove the cylinder head. Loosen and mark all cylinder head bolts. Note: loosen the bolts from both ends to the middle in turn. Take out the cylinder head bolt. Lift the cylinder head down with the lifting equipment to a clean and flat table. Remove the cylinder gasket. Take out the valve tappet. Remove the valve spring and lug clamp with a special tool for valve disassembly and assembly. Note: mark each cylinder before removing the valve. Take out the valve. Remove the valve oil seal. 6. Cylinder block assembly. Remove the camshaft bolt. Rotate the camshaft and slowly extract the camshaft assembly from the hole. Mark the piston connecting rod assembly of cylinder. 16 with an oil pan. Remove the piston connecting rod bolt and take out the piston connecting rod assembly from the top of the cylinder. Remove the piston pin retaining ring with calipers and remove the piston pin. Remove piston rings with piston ring calipers. The first ring is double-sided trapezoid ring. The second ring is conical twisted ring, and the third ring is steel strip combined oil ring. Loosen the mounting bolts of clutch pressure plate assembly and remove the clutch pressure plate and clutch driven plate. Remove the flywheel and loosen the bolts crosswise to prevent collision. Loosen the mounting bolt flywheel housing and remove the flywheel housing. Remove the crankshaft rear oil seal. Loosen the bolts 6, 1, 7, 2, 5, 3, and 4 of the main bearing cover in sequence according to the mark on the top surface of the main bearing cover. Take out the main bearing cover and thrust pad and place them on a clean working table. When lifting the crankshaft, pay attention to safety and prevent collision. Remove the cooling spray hook. Pull up the cylinder liner for a short distance with the cylinder sleeve drawing tool. Slowly lift the lost cylinder liner with both hands. Place it on a clean working table. Mark the corresponding cylinder number on the outer wall of the cylinder liner. Remove the water seal ring of the cylinder liner. Part 2. Yuchai 6L Engine Assembly. 1. Installation of cylinder block assembly. Wipe the surface of the cylinder block with a clean cloth. Clean the bolt hole, oil duct, and water channel with a brush and blow it with compressed air. Apply thread glue to the bolt and install the piston cooling nozzle. The tightening torque is 30 Nm. Installation of main bearing bush. Wipe and clean the back of bearing bush with a clean cloth, and then install the upper bearing bush in place. Apply a layer of clean engine oil on each gear of upper bearing bush. Clean the main bearing cover. Wipe the back of the bearing with a clean cloth and install the lower bearing bush in turn on the main bearing cover. Hoist crankshaft. Clean the crankshaft surface and oil duct. Add new oil into the journal and oil duct. Lift the crankshaft and put it into the main bearing of the cylinder block. Apply a layer of clean engine oil on the upper and lower thrust pads, and then install them into a 6th main bearing seat and main bearing cover respectively. Apply a layer of clean engine oil on the lower main bearing bush and install the main bearing cover. Note: the direction of the bearing cover and the arrow direction are toward the front of the engine, with the serial numbers from front to back corresponding in turn. Fasten bolts. As shown in the figure, install bolts from the middle to both sides in turn. Tighten the bolts in the sequence shown. The first time, tighten to 40 Nm. The second time, tighten to 70 Nm. Loosen. The third time, tighten to 90 Nm. The fourth time, turn 90 degrees. Measure the axle clearance of crankshaft. 0.10 to 0.26 mm is qualified. Check whether there are cracks, rust, and bruises inside and outside the cylinder liner, and whether there is burr on the chamfer of the outer circle. Install the cylinder liner without sealing ring into the cylinder bore of cylinder block. The protrusion height of cylinder liner 0.095 mm to 0.165 mm. The maximum deviation of two adjacent cylinders is less than 0.025 meters. Take out the cylinder liner after it is measured qualified. Check whether the new water sealing ring is trimmed, distorted, and damaged. Install the water sealing ring after applying Vaseline. Press down the cylinder liner stably and vertically with the press fitting tool for cylinder liner to avoid trimming the water sealing ring. Install the locating pin and flywheel housing. Pre-tighten the bolts and then tighten them with a torque wrench in the crossway according to the specified torque. Tightening torque of flywheel housing bolt. Flywheel housing bolt M12 10.9 95 to 135 Nm. Flywheel housing bolt M14 10.9 150 to 200 Nm. Install the crankshaft rear oil seal. Check the appearance of flywheel for quality problems. Assemble the guide rod. Align the flywheel with the locating pin and then install the flywheel bolt coated with a small amount of thread glue. Tighten the bolts alternately in turn as shown in the figure. M14 175 Nm, M12 110 Nm. Wipe the joint surface of clutch pressure plate with a clean cloth. Install the clutch driven plate and clutch pressure plate on the flywheel assembly. Insert them with the clutch centering tool to ensure that the clutch is coaxial with the flywheel. Screw the mounting bolt and washer of the pressure plate into the screw hole by 23 threads. And then tighten it with a torque wrench in diagonal cross. Tighten torque M10 of clutch bolt 40 to 60 Nm. Check the piston, piston ring, piston pin, and connecting rod for burr, crack, rust, and other defects. Apply a layer of clean engine oil on the piston pin and pinhole. Assemble the piston and connecting rod together. Install the piston pin retaining ring. The piston pin and retaining ring can rotate smoothly. The direction of forward arrow mark on the piston should be consistent with that of forward mark on the connecting rod. Installation of piston ring. 1. First, install the third spring type combined oil ring. Install the spring in the oil ring groove. And then install the lining ring and keep 180 degrees between the opening of the liner ring and the spring. Install the second compression ring and the first compression ring. Note, the top mark of piston ring is upward. Install connecting rod bearing. Apply a layer of clean engine oil on the piston surface, connecting rod bush and cylinder liner. Check that the opening direction of piston ring is consistent with as shown in the figure. Install the piston connecting rod assembly into the cylinder liner. Note: the arrow mark on the top of the piston faces the front end of the engine. Install the connecting rod bush cover, and note that the codes on the connecting rod correspond to those on connecting rod bush cover one by one. Bolt torque of upper connecting rod: the first tightening torque 30 Nm, the second tightening torque 60 Nm. The third time the angle is 60 degrees. Note: the connecting rod bolt can be used twice at most. Turn the crankshaft to check whether the piston moves flexibly. Measure the height of piston protruding from the top surface of cylinder block, minus 0.23 plus 0.03 mm. The height difference of piston protrusion for the same machine smaller than or equal to 0.15 mm. 2. Installation of gear housing components. Install the front cover plate gasket of the gear housing. Apply glue uniformly. When installing the front cover plate of gear housing, apply thread glue to the fastening bolts. Bolt torque 30 Nm. Apply new engine oil to camshaft surface and bushing. Install camshaft with camshaft guide tooling. Fasten camshaft bolts, which need to be coated with thread glue. Screw torque of installing camshaft thrust plate 30 Nm. Camshaft gear screw torque 110 Nm. Install the idler gear and buffer plate. Note: when installing the gear, the timing mark points should be aligned 0 to 0, 1 to 1. And thread glue should be added to the bolts. Torque 60 Nm. Measure the meshing clearance between the idler gear and the adjacent gears with a feeler gauge. Meshing clearance 0.07 mm to 0.25 mm. Install the fuel injection pump connecting plate and seal the O-ring, not cutting the edge. The torque of M10 bolt is 60 Nm. Install the gear fuel injection pump. Note: the timing mark of the oil pump gear corresponds to that of the idler gear 2 to 2. Torque of the gear locking nut 270 Nm. Install the oil pipe of the fuel injection pump. Apply sealant on the gasket of the oil cooler. Install the oil cooler. Tighten the oil cooler assembly to fixed bolts M8 30 Nm. Install the air compressor and gasket. Note: apply sealant on the gasket. Tightening screw torque 30 Nm. Meshing clearance 0.07 mm to 0.25 mm. Install the oil pipe of the air compressor. Install the crankshaft front oil seal. Apply a circle of soapy water around the new front oil seal. And install the front oil seal with a plastic hammer. Note: do not hold oil seal lip by hand. Apply sealant evenly on both sides of the gear housing gasket. Install the gear housing components and tighten the mounting bolts in the sequence shown. M8 screw torque 30 Nm. Apply sealant evenly on the connecting surface between the reinforcing plate and the body. Tighten the fastening bolts of the reinforcing plate. Torque 30 Nm. Install the oil pump on the cylinder block and tighten the bolts in a crossway for 3 times. Tightening torque 45 Nm. Install the oil filter. Tighten the bolts and tighten them in a crossway for 3 times. Tightening torque M8, grade 8.8, 20 to 40 Nm. Install the oil filter. Tighten the bolts and tighten them in a crossway for 3 times. Tightening torque M8, grade 8.8, 20 to 40 Nm. Install the oil pan and tighten the oil pan bolts according to the sequence shown in the figure. M8 torque 30 Nm. Install the oil drain plug and magnet. Tightening torque of oil drain plug 60 to 80 Nm. Assemble the oil dipstick and its casing. Install the pulley shock absorber. Note: the positioning pin is aligned and installed in place, and the bolts are tightened crosswise. Tightening torque 140 Nm. 3. Installation of cylinder head assembly. Clean the cylinder head and check the bottom and side of the cylinder head for cracks, rust, pumping, and other defects. Install the valve stem oil seal with installation tool for the valve stem oil seal. Note: after installation, check whether the valve stem oil seal lip is intact and whether the spring of the valve stem oil seal falls off. Apply clean oil to the valve stem oil seal lip and valve stem head and install the valve. Install valve spring and valve spring seat. Pay attention to single spring for inlet valve and double spring for exhaust valve. Install valve lock clamp with special tool for valve spring disassembly and assembly. After the valve lock clamp is installed, suspend the bottom surface of the cylinder head for more than 20 centimeters, and then hammer the valve stem to vibrate the spring so that the lock lip can be correctly in place. Sealing test. Add proper amount of kerosene at the intake and exhaust valves. If there is no leakage for 3 minutes, it indicates that the sealing is normal. Install the new cylinder head gasket with figure number upward. Apply proper amount of engine oil on the surface of tappet and put it into tappet hole one by one. Note: there should be no burr or rust on the surface of tappet. Lift the cylinder head with a spreader, align it with the locating pin and gently place it on the cylinder block. Insert the cylinder head fastening bolts into the screw holes respectively, and screw the bolts for more than 2 threads. Tighten the cylinder head bolts in sequence as shown in the figure. Tightening torque. Tightening torque for the first time in 50 Nm. The tightening torque for the second time is 120 Nm. The tightening torque for the third time is 90 degrees. Install the push rod and add proper amount of oil to the head of the push rod. Install the valve bridge. Note: the long hole of the valve bridge faces the push rod. Install the oil port O-ring on the cylinder head cover. Put the rocker shaft assembly on the rocker shaft seat and install the fastening bolts. Note: screw the rocker shaft fastening bolts by 2 to 3 threads by hand, and then evenly tighten with a wrench from the middle to both sides. The tightening torque is 70 Nm. and add oil to the rocker arm and other moving parts. Adjust the valve clearance. Rotate the crankshaft clockwise at the pulley end and observe the inlet valve descending and exhaust valve rising of the 6th cylinder. The timing pointer is aligned with the 0 scale mark of the belt pulley, which can be judged as the 1st cylinder compression TDC. Then adjust the valve clearance of 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, and 10 from the 1st cylinder intake valve as 1 to 6 cylinder exhaust valve as 12. Tightening distance of nut 50 Nm, intake valve clearance 0.35 plus minus 0.05 millimeters, exhaust valve clearance 0.40 plus minus 0.05 millimeters. Turn the crankshaft by 360 degrees so that the timing pointer is aligned with the 0 scale mark of the belt pulley. This is the compression TDC of the 6th cylinder, and adjust the valve clearance of 4, 5, 8, 9, 11, and 12. Install the fuel injector and copper gasket according to the original cylinder sequence. Pre-tighten the nut of fuel injector pressure plate, torque 15 Nm, and then loosen the locking nut of fuel injector pressure plate. Install the high-pressure connecting pipe and pre-tighten the nut. Note: the high-pressure connecting pipe should be aligned with the fuel inlet of the fuel injector. Tighten nut of high-pressure connecting pipe. Torque 50 Nm. Tighten the locking nut of the pressure plate of the fuel injector with a torque of 40 Nm. Install fuel injector harness bracket and injector terminal nut. Harness bracket bolt M8 25 Nm. Terminal nut 1.2 to 1.5 Nm. Check that the cylinder head cover is not damaged. Put on the cylinder head cover and tighten the fastening screws. Tighten them from the middle to both sides in turn, and the bolt torque is 18 Nm. Installation of exhaust side. Put the exhaust pipe and gasket on the exhaust port of cylinder head. Screw in the bolts by 2 to 3 threads manually. And then tighten the exhaust pipe bolts in a crossway in the order as shown in the figure. Torque 60 Nm. Install the exhaust pipe cover. 1. Check whether the turbocharger turbine blades rotate flexibly without jamming. Install the supercharger and gasket to the exhaust pipe. Note: Do not lift the pushrod of the bypass valve of the supercharger by hand when installing the supercharger. Nut torque 55 Nm. Fill the oil inlet hole of turbocharger with new oil and install the oil inlet pipe of supercharger. M16 35 Nm, M18 40 Nm, M8 joint bolt 35 Nm. Install the oil return pipe and gasket to the supercharger and install the other end of the oil return pipe to the oil return joint. M8 bolt 25 Nm. Install the O-ring. Install the drive plate. Bolt torque M10 bolt 40 Nm. Install the starter and tighten the bolt torque 70 to 90 Nm. Five. Installation of front gear train. Coat the sealing ring of water pump with Vaseline. Install the water pump to the front end of cylinder block and tighten the screws according to the sequence shown in the figure. Torque 55 Nm. Install thermostat and thermostat cover. Install the cooling water pipe. Install generator bracket and generator. Install the belt tension pulley and belt. Six. Installation of intake side. Install the fuel return pipe of fuel injector. Install intake pipe and intake pipe gasket. Note: tighten the bolts in the sequence as shown in the figure. Bolt M8 30 Nm. Install common rail pipe bracket and common rail pipe. Install ECU bracket and ECU. Install the high-pressure oil pipe. Install the fuel distributor. Install the diesel filter holder. Install the oil return pipe of common rail pipe. Install the fuel injection pump to the oil return pipe of fuel distributor. Install the fine filter to the oil pipe of fuel injection pump. Install the oil transfer pump to the fine filter oil pipe. Coat the O-ring of the new diesel filter with engine oil to prevent the O-ring from trimming. Tighten the new filter core tank by hand and then screw in with filter wrench by 1, 2 to 3 for a turn. Install the oil filter assembly. Note: fill the oil filter with new oil before installation. Apply thread sealant to the second to third thread of oil pressure sensor. Screw oil pressure sensor into the hole by 2 to 3 threads by hand. And then tighten it with wrench. Wipe off the excess glue with a clean cotton cloth. Tighten the fixing bolt of crankshaft sensor. If there is adjusting gasket, install it together with the gasket. Tighten the fixing bolts of boost pressure and temperature sensor. Apply a circle of sealant on the thread of water temperature sensor and install it on the corresponding screw hole. Install the harness fixing bracket and sensor connector. Note: lock the lock when installing the sensor connector. Install the breather pipe. Engine installation completed.